Hi and welcome to GRVOTV, G's Reviews, Views and Opinions. Hope you're all well. I'm doing the update to my Durafly Vampire review, or initial review, having flown it a couple of times now. First thing I'd like to say is I really do like this plane. It's not particularly quick, but it sort of got a nice scale-like speed to it, so it's not too fast. If you're a speed junkie, it's not for you. I'll go through some of the good and bad points, and I think I'll start off with the bad points first. Now, when I first flew this, it was borderline uncontrollable. Now, I do have a lot of movements, and it was flicking out in the elevator, and it was a bit nasty, so I reduced them down slightly, but it appeared to be flying very tail heavy, even though it was the CFG was set where they say. Now, I'm only using a 4-cell 2200 pack. And I know people that have flown these on a 2650 to 2700 pack, which is obviously will move the weight forward. Plus, I've got an extra servo at the back, so I thought perhaps it's a weight thing. So I tried it with a much bigger pack in it, and it was definitely better, indicating that it did have a slightly rearward of CFG, but it still wasn't perfect because the extra weight I felt really... it made the takeoff run a lot longer, and it sort of upset the overall flying. So I wanted to stick to my 4-cell 2200s. Plus, I didn't want to buy any more batteries. Now, the main problem I had with this was flat out trimmed, so it's ever so slightly coming down. That's how I like to fly it, so that if you went from, you know, fully left to right, by the time you've gone across, you've lost a little tiny bit of height. That's how I like flying on my plane set. When you come off the throttle, it pitched up violently, like it really does climb, and you had to put loads of down elevator in, and when I was trying to come into land, it was a bloody nightmare, to be honest. Now, that is something partly to do with the weight, but I think on my particular model, either the fan unit or something, the way this tube is, something's ever so slightly out. It's like having, you know, up or down thrust on your propeller on your plane. So the options are take all the fan unit out and have a look, see it, try and reset it and all things like that. I've added a little bit of weight to the nose, not an awful lot, just about 10, 20, 30 grams of lead in the nose. Actually no, 10, 20, 30, 40 grams of lead in the nose. And that's helped a bit, but it really didn't stop this, you know, really bad sort of ballooning effect, if you like. So I thought, well, if it was an expensive model, it would have really annoyed me, but because it's just a cheap model, you know, less than £100, I thought, well, the easiest way to do it is just to mix it out on the transmitter. Now, luckily enough, I've got a decent transmitter, a Futaba 14SG, and in the mixing on that, it's quite nice because you can not only mix the elevator and the throttle together, but you can set when that comes in by adjusting like it's an X-axis. And so as you pull your throttle down, nothing happens. Then the mixing comes in, and then you get a linear response to the elevator, putting more and more down elevator in. And I just set that up roughly as I thought it would be, and I've put it on a switch initially, so I can switch it out if there's a problem. So put it on a switch, set it up. Definitely improved things, didn't get it quite right first time. And it's just a case of increasing or decreasing the amount of elevator movement compared to the amount of throttle, and then when it cuts in. And I've got it flying really nicely at the moment, and I've got sort of a nice sort of half throttle where it flies around beautifully and it sounds lovely, and it's just really nice. It's not perfect, but a few more tweaks, and I say after each flight I just tweak it 1 or 2% and we'll get there, but flying really nice now. So that's good. The rudder, my rudder modification, it works absolutely perfectly in my opinion. It's not super responsive. I didn't expect it to be. It's only tiny, but it gives me enough response to be able to do slow rolls, point rolls, stall turns. There's not enough, but I don't think there would be even if you had two, because there's no airflow over the rudder. So when you're in the stall for a stall turn, you input the rudder, there's no airflow over it, so even blipping the throttle doesn't get you any airflow over the rudder. So it's not a great plane for doing stall turns anyway. so that's a bit of a no-no. It sort of spins. Most jets, unless they're thrust vectored, they don't really spin very well. They tend to spin nose down rather than flat, but again, that's fine. It's nice to be able to do some nice sort of bit of side slipping with that rudder. It's just enough to do basically exactly what I hoped it would do, and I've got no intention of adding a second one. I don't think it'll make any difference, so I'm really pleased with that. The undercarriage, the retractable undercarriage, I'm just going to turn it around here, with these tiny little wheels, and my field is not been cut for a while, and it's quite bumpy, and takeoffs are a bit sort of bit hit and miss, but it gets off nicely, especially with the 2200 pack, gets off fine, and landing's lovely. It comes in and it's got a nice angle of attack when it comes in. It's sort of quite a scale angle of attack once you get it set right, and you can come in on the flare nicely, or you can bring it in a little bit faster and roll it on the mains. It's really nice. And the undercarriage, you need to be careful that you don't rip out the front one. If you come in, like I've seen people land, obviously just straight into the ground nose first, you're going to rip this front one out. But I've had no issues with that at all. You know, if you land properly and you're flaring, and to that end, I would suggest that this isn't really an intermediate plane. It's more of an advanced plane, because you really do need to know how to land, unless you've got really smooth grass, and it wouldn't be too bad. But this isn't going to take too much of a knock to rip these out. It's only, you know, ultimately, these retracts are going into foam. At some point they're connected to foam, so they'll only take so much. The roll response is excellent. The overall flight characteristics are really nice. It does have some funny characteristics, and I think that's to do with the twin boom design. When you roll it, it sort of does this funny thing, but it's fine. But the best thing about this is when you're doing sort of half to 3/4 throttle, low, slow circuits, getting it banked over. It just looks really nice. It sounds really nice. It's easy, it's lightweight, it fits in the car, it's cheap. I really like it. Also, just a quick shout out really, if anyone's interested in flying, learning to fly, planes, helicopters, whatever, over we do control line at our flying club. We are looking for new members. It's in Chelmsford in Essex, so if you're close to Chelmsford, Essex, and you're interested in joining a model flying club, then look us up on the internet. It's Chelmsford Model Flying Association, and that'll give you some details, and I'll just encourage you to pop over one day.